While at work, Ron suffered an accident. The next time he opened his eyes, he was already in the hospital. What he thought was just a minor injury turned out to be far worse. The doctor told him he had contracted HIV and had only 30 days left to live. Ron was furious. At the time, many people wrongly believed that AIDS only spread within the gay community, a group he despised. He was convinced the doctor had mistakenly switched his blood sample with that of a homosexual patient. Refusing to listen to any explanation, Ron stormed out, tossing the diagnosis report back at the doctor. He went straight to the library, determined to prove he wasn't infected. Yet the persistent coughing fits made him increasingly uneasy. What he found in the medical texts nearly crushed him. HIV could also be transmitted through intravenous drug use or reckless sexual activity. That made him recall a woman he had been with recently whose arms were riddled with needle marks. Ron soon learned about a drug called AZT, also known as ACT in some reports, which was believed to help treat AIDS. Desperate, he rushed back to the hospital hoping to buy some. But the doctor told him the medication had not been officially approved and was impossible to obtain legally. Ron eventually struck a deal with a hospital janitor. In exchange for cash, the janitor would smuggle AZT to him while disposing of medical waste. For a while, Ron managed to get the drug. But his life quickly unraveled, he lost his job, and his old friends began to distance themselves from him. Ron, however, refused to dwell on it. One day, when he went to pick up the medication, the janitor took the money but handed him only an address instead. Hospital security had tightened, and stealing AZT was no longer possible. If Ron wanted medicine, he would have to seek out a doctor in Mexico. Ron, thinking he had been swindled, lashed out in anger, throwing a punch that the janitor easily dodged. His condition deteriorated rapidly. Despite taking AZT, his health showed no improvement, and soon he collapsed again. When he regained consciousness, he was back in the hospital. He knew without proper treatment, staying there would only mean waiting for death. Against the doctor's advice, he discharged himself. Returning home, Ron found hateful graffiti scrawled across his wall in red paint. The front door had been padlocked by someone. He grabbed his shotgun from his truck and blasted the lock open. Thankfully, nothing inside had been stolen. He gathered up his hidden savings and a painting, then left the place where he had grown up. He drove through the night until morning, then pulled over by the roadside. Taking off his sunglasses, he picked up a pistol. The doctor had said he had 30 days to live. Today marked the 29th. Ron would rather end it himself with a bullet than die slowly from AIDS. Yet in the end, he couldn't pull the trigger. Instead, he remembered the address the janitor had given him. It was his last hope. Ron followed it all the way to Mexico, where he met a doctor who had been stripped of his license. The man, named Vass, told Ron the shocking truth. The AZT he had been taking was poison. It killed not only the infected cells but also the healthy ones. 3 months later, under Vass's treatment, Ron was still alive. His complexion looked far better than before. The drug Vass gave him was called DDC, which had the same therapeutic effect as AZT but with far fewer side effects. The patients in Vass's clinic were all surviving because of it. Ron quickly realized that if he could bring DDC back to the US and sell it, there would be a massive business opportunity. The only question was, how could he get it past the border?